Srixon Golf, globally one of the biggest brands out there, but might not be something that first springs to mind when you're looking for a new driver. Today we're looking at the Srixon ZX7 driver. So globally, Srixon is one of the biggest brands out there, but it might not necessarily be the first thing that springs to mind when you're thinking about purchasing a new driver. But the ZX7, this is the first time that I've hit this driver, so it'll be interesting to try it. So this is, they do two, you've got the ZX5 and ZX7, this being probably perceived as the slightly better players club. Now, put that down, it's sort of classic design. I like the shape of it and everything. Worth talking about. The big differences in this, they talk about a cross section of the crown where it's supported, so there's going to be less bending and movement of the crown of the club, so it's more structured and resilient as you're striking the ball, and they're saying that that's going to help impart a little bit more power. Sort of reading the stuff, looking at it, it kind of reminds me of exactly what Callaway talk about when they talk about their jailbreak technology. Obviously they can't put the bars across the face like Callaway, that's patented, so they put them across the crown, and I think that that's a pretty similar thing. It's interesting to see, so this driver's probably been out there 6 months, whatever it is, and Srixon have made a driver. A lot of manufacturers have gone down the sort of carbon route and putting that in. This is classic sort of titanium driver, so you're going to get a slightly different sound out of it. So with the carbon ones, what you're going to hear is that sort of dead sound. This is definitely going to be a little bit more tingy when you hit it. There's a couple of weights in the back. These are changeable, so they do different types of weights. You're going to be able to get that in the fitting process, so depending on how that will affect obviously your swing weight or the MOI, the club, making it more forgiving, less forgiving, you know, lighter, heavier to play with. There's loads and loads of options with the sleeve, so when you take that out, there's loads of different settings that you can put on there, probably well more than the sort of Callaways and stuff like that. So it comes out, there's you know, your loft variations, the fact that you can open and close the club face as well. I've got this in a 9.5 degree, you know, hazardous shaft. So let's get a few shots and see what I think. Right, so initial first thoughts as you put that down, I do like the look of the club, classic design. Now I don't know if this is actually the sort of stock grip that's going to be on there, but this ionic grip is horrible. It feels thin and cheap, so I don't like that. So I wouldn't, I mean, you know, grip's nothing. Like to change the grip and put something on there that you like, that's no difficulty. Right, first one, not great strike. Seems quite forgiving, a little bit out of the toe, that didn't hit that at all well. As always when we're doing the testing, so it's just Pro V ones that we use. Off the club face it feels nice, it's a good solid sound. That's, you know, I think the sort of carbon options that you get with the Paradigm and the Stealth, personally I'm not a huge fan of the sound, so I like the slightly more solid sound that you get off a full titanium here. I like this. The sound is definitely there with this driver. Kind of as you put that down as well. To me, club face looks a little bit open, which I quite like. I don't like it personally, and this is a preference thing. I think sort of with the more forgiving drivers, it tends to sit a little bit shut, and as I put that down, it always looks to me like the club face is pointing left. But this, as I put it down, the club face looks like it's pointing a little bit right, which I like, because then that really gets the feeling that I could release on it a little bit harder to keep it going straight. Okay, so that one did go to the right, but it's a solid strike. So seems to launch well, gets a decent launch angle, gets up there. I like the driver. It's, yeah, I mean, spin numbers, it's exactly where I'm sort of looking for it to sit, that works well for me, and it launches well. I think the only test that you can really do is, like with the irons, we've got to take these on the course and see what it's like out there. You know, as I've been out here for a while, hitting a few shots, it's a really, really nice driver, this. It feels a little bit different. On my ping driver's definitely heavier. This is, you know, it feels like the physical weight of the driver's a little bit lighter, which is good for getting it through the air. So you're going to see probably some faster speeds when you're doing that. No problem finding the fairways. It's, you know, it's a nice driver, and price point wise I think that's an interesting one, because it's not got any carbon in it and anything. It's just a titanium driver. It's a little bit cheaper, so this has got a retail out there at about $449. So when you're looking at those sort of premium top end drivers that are getting upwards of £500 now, like Titleist TSRs and Ping LS Techs, whatever, that are, you know, that sort of 529, to have a club that's sitting at, you know, could be £50 cheaper, it's quite a significant saving. I'm genuinely surprised how good the driver is. I really like the way that it feels, the way that it comes off the club face. You know, it seems to be travelling just as far as anything else, if not further. I mean, I quite like it, the fact that it's that little bit lighter, and the fact that it seems to sit that little bit open. So I think like this one would be, you know, definitely pitched out there at the better golfer, and I think it's something that people are going to like. You know, like there, getting that sort of, you know, lower spinning, more penetrating flight. It's good. So my kind of final thoughts on this driver: hit it in here, hit it out on the course. So impressed. It feels lighter than pings and stuff that I've hit, but I quite like that, because then you're going to get the increase, like getting the club through the air. That feels good. Love the way that it sits. That sort of, to my eye, a little bit open. I know you can mess about with the hosel and change the settings on that, but it does sort of sit there just that little bit open, and I think for the better player that's going to give them a little bit more confidence. I know that the other driver that they do is probably a little bit more forgiving with a central weight, and may well sit slightly differently, so that's going to be the forgiving option, this one being the better player's club. Ball speed's good, numbers look really good, and I like the flight. You can hit the sort of, like out of this driver, I was hitting some sort of much lower, more penetrating shots, as sort of on windy days and things like that, that this is going to be a real bonus. I like the driver. I think it's worth trying, something to consider when you're looking to get fitted for your next club. But there's going to be loads more stuff coming out in the next few months, and we're going to be reviewing and things. Make sure you get down into the comments, let me know if you're thinking about changing your clubs. What clubs are you trying? What clubs do you like? Which ones have you thought about getting? Have you tried things that, you know, you think, oh yeah, that's for me, or not? You know, it'd be great to get some comments and feedback on that. But if you like this video, please make sure that you check that one out, where we review the ZX7 irons as well.